Hello viewers and welcome back to Buck's Small Engine DIY. I'm Buck Weezer and here we are today with a go-kart in the shop. That's a little unusual. Yeah, I don't know much about go-karts. It's a Trailmaster. It's made in China. Basically what we're looking at is a Honda clone, Chinese made Honda clone. And I guess it really doesn't matter whether it's a go-kart or a pressure washer or a generator. These engines work on the same principles. Now what I've been told by the guy who owns it's maybe 10 years old. It looks pretty nice and clean actually to be 10 years old. But it hasn't been used in a while. He says it'll start but it won't stay running. So I don't want to make any premature guesses, but maybe this guy right here, if you know what I'm talking about, old fuel, gummed up carburetor, just a guess. We're going to have to test and find out. Does this interest you? Then stay tuned and we'll see if we can get it running. So yeah, I mean the first thing we got to do is see what it will or will not do, right? So I've got the shifter in neutral, which is probably good. It has brakes. I don't know if the brake, I have the parking brake applied. I don't know if that's a safety or not for the starting mechanism, but it's always good to put the brake on. We got our choke lever up here at the controls. It has electric start, but the battery is surely dead. And we don't really care about electric start at this point because if it's in good running condition, it should start with 1 or 2 pulls. Now the throttle is obviously your gas pedal, your accelerator pedal, but I think we can manually do it back here too if we need to. So typically you've got your choke here, but your choke was on the dash, so I pulled the choke. This is our fuel valve and it's to the right, so it should be getting fuel. So let me put you up on the tripod and we'll pull this starter rope and see what happens. And yes, it does have fuel. I don't know how old the fuel is, but it's probably old. Guy told me he put in a new spark plug. That's the first thing everyone tries. That's fine, but very often that's not the issue. So yeah, I got the choke pulled. Just see what happens. Nothing. I forgot one important thing. I should turn the keys to on because that's going to be a kill switch. Yeah, it's not going to run like that. My bad. Nice try. Still nothing. Let's try it without the choke. That choke lever is really loose. I don't know if it's even working. Alright, well it obviously doesn't do much of anything. So I want to, let's take off the air cleaner, see if we can put some starting fluid directly into the throat of the carburetor and see if it'll run for us, albeit briefly, on the starting fluid. Okay, let's give that a try. Alright, so it starts and runs on a shot of starting fluid. It does not stay running. So yeah, I think we have some carburetor work to do because it's clearly not picking up any fuel from the bowl or through the main jet. And that is pretty much what I expected. Alright, so let's take off this air cleaner assembly, 2 10mm nuts here. You know, that test with the starting fluid is really a good and helpful one because it confirms a lot of things for us. For instance, it confirms that we do have compression, or it would not have run even briefly. We do have spark, or it would not have fired up even briefly. And it probably means that the timing's pretty good too. So This 10 here on the top also probably needs to come. So that test is really helpful in just eliminating some of, we don't have to go down any of those avenues in our diagnosis. We know what's going on and what isn't going on, and fuel is what's not going on. And so let me just watch the choke plate. I'm going to try to pull the choke lever, make sure it actually is working. Okay, yeah, it is. I couldn't tell if it was really, maybe I just put this guy back in for the time being, because that's holding the choke arm in place. You know, I couldn't tell if it was actually working, but it appears that it is, or at least it will be when this is properly secured. We've taken it apart. So that's all good. I want to take this carburetor off, and we probably need to clean it. Probably need to clean out the main jet. Done that a bunch of times, and I'll show you how to do it also. I want to, so I've got to disconnect this choke cable. Shouldn't be too bad. I've got to disconnect the throttle linkage at the top. Alright, so I'm taking this guy off again. And then he comes out like that and lifts off. Alright, so there's our choke lever. So it's a spring-loaded choke, so when it opens up automatically, and when you pull the knob on the dash, it closes it. So that's how that works. I want to clamp off our fuel line, and we may end up replacing these fuel lines. I've got some of this Honda-sized fuel line, but I got to clamp it off because it will otherwise run out and make a mess. I like to use vice grips such as these, and I think I'm just going to put it right back here. That should be it. Now the clamp on the fuel line here at the carburetor. Let's try the needle nose. Alright, so that's that. A little bit of spillage, but not too bad. Alright, now we can pull it out, and we should be able to undo this linkage and the little spring, and this guy's coming off. Alright, so we can take him over the workbench and go over him a little bit more thoroughly. So here we are at the carburetor, and kind of looks like it's been leaking. At least a little bit at some point. The thing I'm not sure about, I've never seen this before, is there's no nut here at the bottom that holds the bowl on. This is like a drain screw here, but what's this? I've never seen that. We're going to be able to get this bowl off? I hope so. Because that would be pretty important for cleaning it properly. I've just never seen that before. I guess we could start by breaking loose this drain screw. $10mm. Fuel is coming out. So that's good. So we had fuel in it. But now this. It's just tapped in. Will we be able to get it off? Stay tuned! Alright, what were we talking about? I've never seen this on the bottom of a Honda style carburetor before. and I didn't know how to get it off. I put the carburetor up in my bench vise, grabbed it with a pair of pliers, and was able to turn it. So it is a bolt that kind of screws in, like so. But why? Never experienced that before, and I won't be reusing it if I don't have to. All right. So yeah, we got a pretty nasty carburetor inside here. I think we'll be able to clean it up, but this is what happens when a machine sits for an extended period of time with fuel in the carburetor bowl, especially if it has the ethanol type fuel in it. It just is corrosive and does not store well. So I can see that being a problem here, but hopefully we can get it cleaned up and get this guy back in shape. I don't want to go looking for a replacement because this one's a little bit unique, just with the style of controls it has for the choke. Anyway, I want to try and clean it. Now we got to get this jet out from up in here. That can be a challenge too, especially if it's like frozen in there. I feel like it broke loose right there. Or maybe not. Alright, so I'm going to work on that. I'm going to clean this up really, really well. Alright, so I did get the jet out. We got to clean him out. I got the emulsion tube out. Also have to clean this thoroughly. It's got a lot of little holes. You got to use whatever it takes. I got this pokey thing. I'm going to clean all these out. I'm going to use some carburetor cleaner. I'm going to use little brushes, like little pokey wires like this. This hole's pretty small. I don't think that's going to fit through there. But we got to get all of these. I got these little brushes here. And we're going to clean all of this as well as we possibly can, because all the fuel that will make this engine run passes through this tiny hole. So it's got to be clean and clear. And as you can understand, it can get gummed up really easily. As it is right now, no fuel will be able to flow through there, and that's why it's not going to run. So we're going to clean this up. And use whatever it takes. Bread tie, you got a wire brush, take one of the bristles and press that through there. Like even this pin is not thin enough to fit through there. So we got to find something that actually is. Micro drill bits, if you have them. A guitar string, maybe the E string or the B string, the first or second string. That is when you go to change your strings. I wouldn't sacrifice it. Good playing guitar string. If you know, next time you go to change it, old guitar string will last you a long time. You clean a lot of carburetors with that. Alright, so I've shown this process to you many times in the past. I'm not going to do the whole thing now on camera. I'm just going to clean this out as best I can, because all the fuel has to flow through here. It needs to be completely clean and clear before putting it back together. When we do that, this baby will run. I'm confident of it. I'm not going to mess with the bowl. Here's another identical bowl. It's clean and ready to go. So I'll use that, save myself some time since he's all set. And I got to find another plug because I'm not reusing this thing. No, I got to find one off another Honda carburetor laying around here. All right, let me get to the cleaning. So there is something else we definitely got to do, is we got to clean this pilot jet right down here. So you got to take out this plastic screw, which is our idle speed adjustment screw. And then we can kind of pry up on this guy right here. find some way to get him out. He's coming. Here we go. So we got holes that are fairly big through here, but it's a very, very tiny hole through here. And we got to clean that out. And I think I got a wire brush here, and I'm going to try to push it right through there. One of these wire brush bristles is about the right size. Make sure that's clean and clear. Scrape it a little bit. Crude tools we use. And spray it out. And that's all there is to that, but you don't want to overlook that because that's so tiny, and with old fuel that guy can get easily plugged up. So this goes back on, and we just turn it until there's a couple of threads sticking out on that side. It was just about like that, I think. Alright, now we can put the rest of this back together. Emulsion tube, main jet, float and the needle, not lining up for me real well. There we go. Alright, that's good. What's next? Our bowl. Alright, I found one with a gasket. Sealing washer. 10mm. Make sure this one's tight as well. Good. And I think that's going to be a lot better. Okay, so we're back. Carburetor's ready to be installed. I drained the old fuel out of the fuel tank up there. I actually had to unbolt it because it's leaning that way. And I need to unbolt it so I could turn it this way so the gas can come out. The valve's up here. So I got to bolt that back down. I installed a new fuel filter and one section of new fuel line. So let's go ahead and put the new carburetor on. And what I want to do is I'm going to put the carburetor on, add some fuel, turn the fuel on, but I'm not going to put on the big air filter intake housing yet because I want to be able to make sure that the carburetor's not leaking. So our new fuel line right here. Alright, I got a clamp, it's better. Now let's connect the throttle linkage up here in the spring. Okay, then we can slide it back. Great. And this This is going to be our choke lever. Like that. Won't tighten that down yet. Okay, so I've added clean non-ethanol fuel, new fuel filter. The fuel is flowing. I see it in the filter. I'm not observing any leaks. I have this couple of spacers here just bolted up temporarily without the air cleaner assembly, just so I can observe the carburetor. And I'm going to operate the choke manually here because this has to bolt down with the air cleaner assembly. So we're going to try to start this now, and I'll operate the choke manually, hold it closed while we pull it, and then when it starts I'll open it up again. And yeah, I think on, let's see if it has any interest in running. It's running if I choke it, but when I release the choke, it doesn't want to stay running. All right, interesting. I need it to stay running even with the choke open, so I'm not sure why it's doing that. Well, we made a little progress, but we're not quite there yet. We did make a little bit of progress. It is staying running with the choke open now. Not running very well, and it should be in low idle, but the throttle is doing nothing. Throttle cable, whether I do it here, and the pedal, of course, just does the same thing. So we're making progress, but we're not there yet. Okay, so welcome back. It's the next day, and unfortunately our carburetor's leaking. So this is wet down here. Small puddle of fuel has dripped off it. So we've got a needle and seat failure in this carburetor. And that probably accounts for why it was, could account for why it was running so poorly yesterday, and it was spitting fuel out the carburetor. Then I came over here, checked the oil. Just sort of hard to get to back there. But when I pulled the plug, that thin oil / gas came running out. So the crankcase is overfilled because of the fuel leaking. So we need to drain that oil / gas mixture out of there. Get some clean oil. We've got to take this carburetor down and see about getting that needle and seat to seal properly. So that we failed at that on our first attempt. So that's what we got to do next, so let's go. All right, we're back up on the bench. I got a generator running outside. Sorry about that noise, but I'm going to try to clean out the seat on this carburetor with my drill and a Q-tip. And I got my stronger glasses on so I can see. Let's use a little WD-40. That does look cleaner. We'll try one more here. All right, hopefully that helps. And I'm going to replace the float and needle from a new carburetor that I never used instead of the one that was in there. So we'll come back to that. I think I'm going to replace this bowl gasket as well because I'm not real confident of that. So let me get that out. And then we'll have to test this carburetor on the bench, make sure it's not leaking anymore. Alright, so it's been several hours. I've had this thing just sitting here. It's not like fully installed, but I do have the fuel line to it turned on, valve on, that valve on. Fuel is flowing to it, so, and it's dry everywhere. So I think our new needle is working better. And changed the oil, drained out that gasoline contaminated oil. Changed the oil. So I think it's time to put this back together in the appropriate fashion and give it another chance to run well for us. Okay, let's give this another try. Key switch on. Choke pulled out. That's a heck of a lot better, although it's idling super fast. I gotta find the adjustment for that. But we at least had throttle response this time. So I feel like we're on the right track here. That's our high-speed stop. Where's our low? That's just like running too fast for Well, that sounds a lot better at idle, doesn't it? Much better. My conclusion was that this governor spring right here was just pulling too hard, not allowing the engine to go to a low idle, just keeping it it's just too tight. I elongated it right here. Maybe it's a little bit hokey with a what do you call those pins? Anyway, forget what you call them, but made it a little bit tighter. So now the engine can properly drop down into low idle. This spring, the tension on the spring before was just so hard that it couldn't do that. So I just elongated this a little bit and I squeezed it with a pair of pliers. I really don't think it's going to come off, because I wasn't sure how else to adjust the tension on that spring, which is way too much. So now it's running a lot better and idling as I believe that it really should. So that feels good. I'm happy about that. Guess we should take it for a ride. All right, I think that wraps it up for our go-kart repair. Took going through that carburetor 2 times till we got it right, and it's not leaking fuel anymore. The needle and seat is it's resolved. Carburetor's clean. Starts on the first pull easily, and we adjusted that governor spring so that it idles properly. It was just racing too fast otherwise. So I feel good about that. We'll get it back. My legs were cramping up on that test ride. But another good result. Thanks for joining me on this project. I hope this has been of some help to you. If you got a go-kart that doesn't want to start, some of the things to look at. If it's sat for a while, some of the things you can do to resuscitate the carburetor. And these things apply to all different small engines. You know, that's a Honda clone, Chinese-made Honda clone engine. You see that on a lot of stuff, whether it's a pressure washer or a wood chipper or different stuff. You know, you just see it all over the place. So the principles are the same. We work the steps, good result, we're done. Thanks for watching today. Your comments and questions are always appreciated. In the discussion below, please feel free to communicate with me that way. Like I always say, as I close off, remember it's only you that can put the do into do-it-yourself. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.